Today, we're going to talk about how to fix the WWE. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers and talk about some wrestling, huh?
Yeah, WWE at times has had some good moments, but overall lately, it feels like it's kind of in a rut. Same thing, repeat, rinse and repeat week after week after week. So we put out a poll for you guys saying, hey, let's get some ideas from you guys. Let's get some interaction. We use those ideas, and don't worry, if your idea didn't make this one, I'm sure it'll make the next one and the next video we do.
Yeah, this is the first time that we've kind of pulled comments directly from our multiple areas where we can contact you guys. Our Discord was a big one, so if you want to come join that, we do have a link tree that'll lead you to all this stuff, and then also our YouTube post. So this is stuff coming directly from you guys, problems that you have with the product, and we're going to give our best ideas on how to fix each and every one of them. Let's get right into this thing. Our first comment comes from look at that. It's Solo. It's at Solo42424 on YouTube. Dun. He says, or she, the women's mid-card / main event scene on SmackDown is just not even remotely close to the ones on Raw. They need to put in more effort into the US title scene for the women. So one big problem that people are definitely seeing is the women's United States champion Julia on SmackDown and her lack of, anything on the show. So how would we fix that?
Yeah, lack of anything on the show is probably an understatement. I mean, I was thinking about this. You look at the champs, right, that have held that title. You had Chelsea Green, which we thought was phenomenal. You had Zelina Vega, who admittedly, I wasn't super happy about, but she was on TV at least. And now you got Julia, who I was probably most excited for, most hopeful for. And they have just really dropped the ball on this one. I'm going to maybe take an easy way out and an easy answer on this one. And it kind of pains me to say because I am such a Julia fan, and I do think she's very promising and has a bright future and is fantastic already. She just doesn't get the opportunities. But I'm going to take the Becky Lynch approach, and I'm just going to give it to a veteran. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say, give it to Nia Jax. I feel like you could really kind of give some legitimacy to that. And pretty much the great heel work that Nia Jax has continued to do time and time again. She was doing some great work with Last Legend down in NXT. You could even maybe do a call-up of some sort, something like that, renew some sort of rivalry. But give it to an established veteran. Give it to that heel veteran like a Becky Lynch. Nia Jax, I think, would be perfect. I think I kind of already penciled her in as doing some stuff other than Tiffany Stratton. So you kind of have two birds, one stone with that. And you just take that approach. And then you actually start to feature it a little bit more. Maybe you do some call-ups, like I said, like a Sol Ruka maybe comes up and challenges right then and there. And I'd at least enjoy it, at least being on TV at that point.
Yep, I had that exact thing. I said copy and paste the women's IC title onto SmackDown. I mean, they literally wrote the blueprint themselves here. Now, I didn't go the Nia Jax route because I was thinking about it in terms of what made the Becky Lynch thing work. It was a combination of Becky being so great and her turning heel real quick. This is a far-fetched idea, but it was really the only thing I could come up with on the spot. Trish Stratus has been involved in SmackDown here and there over the past couple of years. She likes to come back, do her one little story and call it a day. I think it'd be great to see Trish maybe come back and get one last heel run, take that title, and do the exact same thing for what Becky did to Lyra to Julia. I think that would be an amazing mix. I think that Trish would give her a way to talk on the mic, which, just get rid of what's happening right now with the Kiana James stuff and let Julia speak for herself. But basically, anyway, it's just give it to a veteran, have her build up the title and Julia, and then eventually we pass it on down to Julia, and then we have ourselves a new U.S. title that is hot and heavy with Julia holding it.
Yeah, I think the Becky Lynch one worked obviously so well, so perfect. It was right timing. It was Becky Lynch being this amazing heel. And then you had her really helping Lyra, who was kind of unproven. You saw the potential there and you're like, man, that's there, but we just need somebody to help tap into it. So yeah, I don't really care what veteran you kind of pick and choose to have that title, but that seems to at least give them some airtime, give them some screen time. I mean, we haven't even seen Julia in weeks.
And I had a break glass for emergency moment here too. And I love Julia. This is no hate to her. Man, if you ain't going to do anything with her, give it back to Chelsea Green, because Chelsea Green and Ethan Page are doing fantastic stuff. And you could bleed Ethan Page into the SmackDown scene as well, because he has the North American title in NXT and he's made it basically the Canadian title. You could literally just do that with the US title on SmackDown with Chelsea Green, who's a proven hit with the title anyways. So you could literally just do the NXT thing with Ethan Page to Chelsea Green on SmackDown and have Ethan Page be her tag along on SmackDown Gold as well. So two good options.
Yeah, like you said, there's already some overlap there too. So she could just also, when she's down in NXT with Ethan Page, guess what? She could have new challengers from NXT. You could feature that really, really well. And then you obviously have like a BFAB, a Michin, something like that could be like, hey, I'm still waiting my turn. And you can have little matches here and there. But I mean, throw it on TV. Chelsea Green is a fantastic option, I feel like.
I mean, at the least, just put her on TV. Damn. Well, moving on. Sunder77 from our Discord. He's a big time chatter in our live streams as well. YouTube.com/CodWrestlePod for that. He says, Women's WWE Championship. And that's hard to argue. Right now, Tiffany Stratton is kind of in the same boat as Julia, where she's barely on TV, and when she is, she's just in the back arguing with Jade still. And even last SmackDown, we now have Nia being reinserted back into it, which would be the 1,100th time. It is absolutely crazy. So how in the world are we going to fix Tiffany Stratton's current title reign?
Yeah, they've kind of put themselves in a corner with this one because there's not a lot that you can really do right now. I think, honestly, you just have some filler feuds. And I think the easy, correct answer for this one is you just wait until Bianca Belair comes back. I think Bianca is the answer to that. I really thought at one point it would have been Jade. We both picked Jade to win at SummerSlam, but clearly, for some reason, WWE didn't feel like that was the right move at that time. So maybe they're a little bit hesitant. But I mean, we all miss Bianca. Bianca, the EST, like, she deserves another title run. You can insert her right back into that. It's super easy. So it really kind of just relies on the health of Bianca until when she comes back. But until then, you're just going to have to do some filler feuds. Maybe you start having Tiffany be a little bit more edgier in terms of just the character itself, right? Like, maybe she just gets sick and tired of stuff and she cuts some more heelish promos. I'm over just the babyface Tiffany. So, like, in the meantime, until Bianca comes back, give me like an edgier Tiffany, and you can just, like I said, pencil her in there with anybody. You know she's not dropping the title anytime soon anyway. So go ahead and give me like a little bit of a character shift with her, and then we wait.
Yeah, you're right when you're right when you say there's not really a right answer right now, because I'm with you. I think that the only way we're going to inject real life back into the Tiffany title reign is getting a Bianca return and then a Bianca versus Tiffany title feud, which would be great down the line. But until then, I just had freaking do the matches. Like, if we are gonna continue the Jade and Nia stuff, at least do matches. At least have her in the ring competing. Like, the backstage stuff where they're just arguing with each other all the time, making no logical sense about any of it. It does nothing for anybody. If you're going to do that, even that, at the very least, do it in the ring. Have them be in front of people. Then give Tiffany more chance to get in front of the people, get better at her mic work, which people have already pointed out that has issues in the past. So at the very least, do that. But in my opinion, if you're going to do any of this stuff still, put them in the ring, have matches. So at the very least, you can say the title is at least being defended on SmackDown, and she's getting her matches and we're seeing in-ring action.
Yeah, and I think that and maybe the character change kind of go hand in hand, because if you look at just have the matches, like, yeah, she could have one with Jade again. She could have run back with Nia, but you look at like the SmackDown Women's roster, there's again, I'm going to say BFAB and Michin, two faces there, right? You could maybe go against like a Secret Hervis, I guess. You could challenge one of them, but you're really kind of like short in terms of the actual contenders. Maybe a Zelina Vega, right? So maybe you get like an edgier version of Tiffany to where she can go up against the faces of Michin, BFAB, Zelina Vega, something like that.
Anything.
Literally anything is better than what they've done for the last two conversations.
Literally anything, meaning do what they're doing right now, which is bad already, but at least put them out there in front of the crowd. What are we doing with these backstage stuff, man? It's overkill. Absolutely overkill. We'll get on with it, though. Indiana Joanna, another big-time member of our Discord chat, says, JD, meaning the Judgment Day, still being a thing. A breakup is long overdue. So it looks like people are getting a little bit tired of Judgment Day's presence on Netflix and Raw overall. Is it time to break up the Judgment Day to fix it?
I mean, if you look back and if you've been a fan of the podcast for a little bit, you know we've had this conversation, I don't know how many times. So yeah. I think right then and there tells you, yes, I would say probably so. They don't even really feel like a unit anymore, like a collective group. Like, yeah, they have backstage segments and yeah, they have storylines, but like, I don't really get the feeling of like Finn and JD are over here. Dom's kind of by himself, and then Raquel and Roxanne are doing their own thing. Like, they're all individually doing their own thing, but they don't really feel cohesive right now. So yeah, I'm here for the long overdue breakup. You look at it and there's rumors about Raquel maybe taking that women's title. So that could be something, right? That you could really kind of drive the wedge in. There's also Dom again with Vikingo coming up at AAA again. I know AJ Styles is probably going to get involved in there, but have Finn end up working with AJ or something and end up working a deal out. Obviously, Dom was talking to El Grande, and Finn didn't like that. Finn had a weird look on his face this past Raw about like, I don't like you bringing in new people. Maybe have Finn talk to AJ. He ends up screwing Dom out of the AAA title and then ends up screwing Dom out of the IC title. I don't know, something like that. It's just something we've been waiting for so long that it's like, yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. Like, I don't care how they do it, but I need it like sooner rather than later.
The easiest answer would be, let's just get to the Dom Finn stuff, right? That would fix the whole thing because yes, it'd break up the Judgment Day thing, spread, put new life into Dom or Finn, whichever one they want to lean heel or face. Both of them are going to have to go either one way or the other. So Finn's either going to have to go super heel with it or Dom's going to have to go super face with it or vice versa, which both would be good. I went a different route with fixing it. If we're going to keep Judgment Day a thing, which is looking like we're going to at least do that until Liv Morgan returns, which is looking like a 2026 thing at the very earliest, right? I think that we should switch up the dynamic and make the women the leaders. So there's this new, rumor floating around the internet where Raquel is maybe going to get a push at the world title scene now that Naomi's out of it. Do it. I say we do it, and then you have her walk back into the Judgment Day group and be like, wait, are any of you world champions? I don't think so. I don't think any of you guys are world champions. So now you have like Raquel and Roxanne, and maybe you go out and Raquel, being the leader of the group, she now recruits some other woman talent to the Judgment Day roster. And now it's one of those things where like the Judgment Day is kind of a women-led faction. And you have Finn kind of spiteful toward Raquel. There would just be a lot of things there. It would change the dynamic because the Judgment Day has been a thing since 2022, and a woman's never really led it. And I'm not coming at that from an agenda standpoint or anything like that. I just think that like you got to capitalize on what you have with the momentum that like Raquel and Roxanne have right now. And so if you build them up big time, not only are you building stars, you're inserting new life into the Judgment Day stuff. And then when Liv Morgan gets back, you got yourself a big time story there as well, with Raquel going, I don't even need you anymore, Liv.
Yeah, I think if anything, you really have to lean into the women of the Judgment Day because everybody is waiting on the Liv Morgan stuff. And I think we all know that's when the real collapse kind of happens. But like you said, that's not for some time, right? And Roxanne seems to be picking up some steam. Raquel's picking up some great momentum here. But then, like I said, you look at Finn and JD and you're like, why should I care about these two? I get they have the tag titles, but like I shouldn't really care. And Dom's Dom. Dom's great. He's fantastic. Dom on Raw versus Dom anywhere else is completely different, right? So you look at it and you're like, why should I care about these three? They haven't really given you a reason. So I would love that if they leaned more into that.
Yeah, I mean, the real answer here, the short answer is just Dom.
Yeah, and you said who would be face and who would be heel. I mean, it'd be very simple. Dom would just be the over face,
and he'd be the heel too. He'd be everything.
Mm-hmm.
He is the everything. Mm-hmm. We'll move it on though. Good old the biggest Cody fan we got in the entire community that we've built here together. Khan, he comes out in the Discord and says the Bloodline's still going. MFTs, they are Bloodline 84.5 at this point, and SmackDown is getting criticized for the MFTs and everything, kind of just running the ship, and the same thing happening every single week on that show. How do we fix the current MFT Bloodline situation?
Yeah, this is another one. At least with some of this stuff, like it's become like I can watch it. It's still bearable. This one though, this one is to the point now that I'm just like, I do not care, and it seems like we're getting another round of new Bloodline versus OG Bloodline, and I am so far out on this that I don't care. Yeah, I mean, they really kind of leaned into it at one point, and we were like, man, this is ridiculous. But Jacob Fatu is the proven star of this. I would just love it, honestly, if Jacob Fatu just really kind of got into the ear of all the other Bloodline members. Everybody ends up turning on Solo, I think. That's just the way I would go about it. Does that make a whole lot of sense? No. Can Jacob Fatu do that? No, he probably doesn't need to, but at the same time, like, just do something different. I mean, we've seen the same shtick where, like, okay, this is how this goes, an A, and then B, and then C, and I just do something different. So maybe that you can have them all end up turning on Solo, I guess, which is, I guess, kind of the same thing that has already been done. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but there's no really good way for me to book this and think, yeah, Solo's going to come out looking good on the other end, because Solo's been in the bad spot, and I feel like anything you can kind of do to maybe make us care about him. So maybe you have a better idea. I don't really have one to fix this.
Yeah, I thought about it, and I gave, like, you have two options here. I think you either have Jey Uso eventually come over to SmackDown and help Jimmy and Jacob Fatu put the end to the MFT. And when I say end, I mean, like, somehow, some way, maybe War Games, you come out and you just demolish Solo and all of them once and for all, and then we just have Jay and Jimmy and Fatu kind of celebrate, and then we just disperse, and everybody kind of does their own thing, and we forget about the Bloodline and MFT for a while there. That's one way to do it. Or if you are wanting Solo in this group to actually be a thing, just go all in on it and like go for the all gold situation. If the MFTs are wanting to rule over SmackDown, that means they need to go get those tag titles. That means Solo probably needs to eventually drop the US belt and go after Cody at some point, and that's going to be, that's going to be iffy. I don't know if they would have the balls to put the title eventually on Solo, even if MFT at that point is built up and established. But so basically to me, you either let it fizzle out right now so that people don't get bored and stop tuning into SmackDown because they're all over it 24/7, or you lean fully into it and you try to find a way to recapture the original Bloodline's greatness by basically having them take over all the gold and establish themselves as the premier SmackDown group that just is draped in gold.
Yeah, I mean, you talked a little bit about it. There's only really two options, and I see the Jey Uso one happening, but that one doesn't, like you said, doesn't happen until maybe Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So you do have some months coming up and leading up into that, and then you talk about the all gold situation, and again, it's just like a rinse and repeat thing. Like what they've done is they've booked themselves in a spot where they take up a majority of the show, and it's like, yeah, we don't want to see it. We've seen all of this before. So
I guess when I say go all in with it, you are banking on Solo to within the next half year get over enough, and you need to have him win matches for one. You need to have Solo not look like an idiot, Sami Zayn every single week, but you need to have him win matches, and then you got to hope that fans eventually just latch on to that great character that is Solo Sikoa. And if you can get some wins under his belt, maybe you can build him. You get MFT the titles, and then maybe he's established enough to steal a month-long reign off of Cody Rhodes, right? Like just steal one from him.
Yeah, but it's also the same thing where, again, it's rinse and repeat. He's fought Cody before.
Yeah,
he's feuded with Cody before. So literally this whole thing.
There's no right answer.
No, there's not. What they need to do is, like you said, they just need to disperse it. I wouldn't be as upset if maybe we look at Tala Tonga. I would maybe feature him a little bit more just because he's the newer guy, right? I would like to see him maybe in some single stuff, but at the same time.
Right then, we're retreading Fatu and Solo. Like it's like, oh, we kind of like Fatu behind Solo, and now Fatu's, and now it's like, oh, we kind of like Tala Tonga, so he should eventually beat up Solo. I don't know.
Well, and the whole thing with Tala Tonga is like we haven't really got a whole glimpse of him, right? Like, and I understand he's not really. I would assume he's not really ready, so that's why they're protecting him. But you have this giant. I would like him to actually feel like a force. He doesn't really feel like a force right now. JC and the GOAT, Bachaloa, are over there, and they don't do anything. Like, this is all just a bad thing. So for me, it's like, I would rather, if you want to fix the Bloodline storyline, you have this happen sooner rather than later. They get beat, and it fizzles out. And then you give all of that time to other people.
Yeah.
That's how personally I would do it, but that's not really how do you fix this? It would just be, hey, go away.
Yeah, it is a hey, go away situation. it kind of is. And I love Solo to death, but it is.
Yeah.
Josh, with the Bird Lady broken because his profile pic is Lyra Valkyria dead in a chair. He says the Raw tag division. Couldn't agree more. The Raw tag division is in shambles, and it is definitely one of the more prominent holes on Monday Night Raw. How are we going to end up fixing it?
Yeah, I think, well, first, if you're not going to move American Made over, give the Creed brothers the titles. That would be my very first thing I would do, and I would do it now. If you're not going to do that, and you have a team come over, have some exciting SmackDown team come over, and they take the titles off, right? You have no matches right now for Raw. So first of all, you'd have to have matches. You'd have to have an established tag team, I guess, number one contender, because at this point, I don't even know who the number one contender is. I'm guessing, kind of assuming New Day, because they're the only ones that get featured. But then you got heel versus heel. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? So for me, you kick Finn and JD out of here, and you have them feud with the Creeds. Why not? Anything is better than what they've done. So you either got to do that, or you got to get the titles to somebody coming from SmackDown. This isn't a quick, easy fix either. Like, a lot of these problems are like, hey, they've dug themselves in such a deep hole that anything we say in terms of like, hey, here's a solution, it's months down the line because they are in such a deep hole. This Raw tag division is going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to really get themselves out of the hole. So your correct answer is probably a team or two from SmackDown, and you just run this SmackDown tag team chaos over on the Raw side.
Yeah, quick, easy fix. That's what you just said, how it's not really possible. I went and tried to get a quick, easy fix. This isn't going to be a popular answer because a lot of people kind of have the same issue with the Vision as they do the MFT right now, in terms of like every Monday Night Raw, it's the same thing. Vision start the show, Vision end the show. And that's kind of how MFT feels right now. We just spoke on that one. The thing about the tag titles, though, you forget Judgment Day even has them. You forget those things even exist because they literally aren't featured on the screen ever, except for when Finn and JD sometimes make their official entrance into a match or something. They're not defended ever. They're not spoken about ever. There aren't number one contender matches ever. There's literally no division. So screw it. Put it on the division. If Seth Rollins and them really want to actually be the doom over Raw, why the logic there with any team in WWE history, any faction that wants to take over WWE, it's get draped in gold. And I'm sorry that that's my answer over and over again, but it's been proven to work in the past. Seth Rollins is doing good enough work. Braun and Bronson are getting over enough. Why would they not go and just take those belts from Judgment Day real quick? It would free up the Judgment Day to do whatever they want to do next with the Dom Finn stuff and all that without having the tag titles involved. I say you just go ahead and do it. The Vision are already so prominent. Those tag team titles would be on screen for 50% of the freaking show every Monday night. That screams better position to me now than they've been in 5 years.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it, and it is a quick, easy fix. It also makes a lot of sense because, like you said, they are on screen a lot, so you at least see the tag titles, and you're like, oh, okay. They actually feel like a legitimate tag team, right? Like JD and Finn, they don't really feel like imposing, right? And if you want to piggyback this idea based off the one you said earlier, at this point, you'd have Dom lose the IC, you'd have Judgment Day lose those tag titles, and Raquel maybe has the gold. It really kind of all makes sense and flows really well together. So yeah, I mean, sign me up for that. If you don't do that, like that's the only short-term answer. If it's not that, it's literally, hey, you got to move some pieces over, or switch around. You got to do something.
Yeah, because the cop out for a lot of these answers already could have been, well, we just need a shakeup of the roster, and you send these people over to fight Tiffany, and that's the real answer here. Is that a shakeup shakes up everything, and then we can reset. But we're trying to dig into what they have now and trying to get realistic outcomes from there.
Yeah, and that's the only. I mean, that's the only tag team.
Yeah.
So I mean, unless you wanted to do some weird, I don't know, Jey Uso doesn't end up going over to SmackDown and he stays on Raw, and you got him and Punk or him and LA Knight. I don't know. Remember how they always should have like two contenders, tag team champs or whatever? Yeah. You could pivot like that and then have them lose to them, whatever.
Two more. We're going to move on to a YouTube comment from Jan Voker Show. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. He says, SmackDown needs to hit the reset button. Less filler, more action with meaningful stakes. Get new writers. Road Dogg is not it. Build new stars and give mid-card titles more prestige and focus on long-term storytelling and character development beyond the main event scene. I chose this comment because it's definitely the hard one, because really what it is SmackDown ain't it right now. So how would we go ahead and fix SmackDown?
Yeah, well, I think you got to start by having some star power here. I know somebody had commented on one of our TikToks and said, SmackDown has the star power, they just don't show up. They have Cena, they have Drew, they have Cody, they have Randy. And I said, well, if you have star power, they have to show up. You have to have these people there. You have to have some sort of mixture, some sort of John, Cody, or Cody, Drew, or Randy, John. You got to have something there. This past week, all we had was Drew McIntyre, and you could really feel that. You're like, man, this is rough. So you got to have your stars actually show up, right? So that's number one. I would say number two for SmackDown, don't rely so heavily on the tag division, which might be an unpopular answer. That's kind of their bread and butter right now. But bread and butter sometimes becomes too old, and you want something else, because every week now we're getting these great tag matches. They're great, but there's no singles action. There's no character development for those single superstars, right? It's all just relying on, hey, let's go out and have these great matches. Well, that's great, but at the end of the day, what do they really mean? Because at the end of the day, you just throw all the teams together and you're like, have at it, have fun. So maybe a little less reliant on the tag division and start featuring some of the women on SmackDown a little bit more, I would say. I mean, we just talked about Chelsea Green. We talked about Julia. Charlotte and Alexa are doing great work when they're out there. Secret Service have been great. So give them a little bit more time as well. Those are all kind of like quick, easy fixes, I would say. Anything is better than what they do because they're just relying so much on that tag division right now and the MFTs. So if you take away some screen time here and there, you can give Solo a backstage promo, but I don't need a 25-minute promo to open the show. I don't need a 15-minute match at the end. I don't need like 40 minutes dedicated to MFT, and really kind of rely on your stars to be stars.
I broke it down pretty simple. You can't have an episode that doesn't feature either Cody Rhodes, John Cena, or Randy Orton. You got to have your big-time faces show up weekly. They don't all have to be there at once, but at least one has to make an appearance every single week. 2, the women need more time, period. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair are doing phenomenal work. Feature them more often. Julia, obviously, we've spoken about her. She needs a ton more time. Tiffany as well. 3, get the U.S. title off of Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa having that title means there's not actually a mid-card on SmackDown right now. That belt needs to fly over to Aleister Black or something, and you need to get that in the actual mix with Aleister Black, R-Truth, Carmelo Hayes, Damian Priest, etc., etc. And then the very last thing is make the show fun by making it the show with stipulated matches. You need to get the eyes on these people. Give them their dumpster matches with Mishin and Chelsea Green that stole the show. Give them our ladder matches with the tag team stuff. Make it, in order to make new stars, you need to get eyes on the product, and I think making it a stipulated show where you always have some shenanigans going on in matches, you can put 2 people in there that aren't very well known, but the stipulation is so good, you're like, well, I'm gonna watch this, and then boom, all of a sudden you do have Carmelo Hayes popping off, and people want to see him more often and stuff like that. So those are my short and simple ways to fix SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see any issue with any of that. The one thing maybe about the stipulations is maybe don't become so over reliant on that, they can obviously do that. They can, tread it a little bit. I mean, you think about some of the best SmackDown matches, the dumpster match one, the TLC triple threat, like for the tag titles, like those types of things have been great. They have been fun. And the U.S. title is a pretty big one because we were big fans of, hey, give it to Damian Priest or Aleister Black or R-Truth even's over there now, right? That whole thing. And Damian Priest is, I guess, written off TV for a little bit, so who really knows? But the whole Sammy, Jimmy, Jacob, MFT thing, that just doesn't work. And I understand they're trying a new star, somebody who's never had the U.S. title, but I mean, it's pretty much the IC title build that he had with Gunther about, like, I've never been the IC champ before, I'm the underdog. You just put it over here.
Yeah, I mean, Solo and them have the MFT storyline just is it's like quicksand for the U.S. title. It doesn't need the U.S. title. It's about family business. The U.S. title, Jacob Fatu doesn't even want the thing anymore. Like, he's just coming after Solo, and he's like okay with Sammy going for it. Like, he didn't even want it. So get it off him. Give it to the actual mid-card so we have a mid-card. Final one, which is probably a lot of people, when we asked to put out stuff, they basically insinuated this. The idea of, like, distraction in every single match. So we're going to shout out Simon Miller because that's one of our favorite creators, and he calls this distraction, interference, and confusion, and it is running rampage over Raw and SmackDown. How would we fix it?
Yeah, I mean, the simple, easy answer is like, hey, you don't need it every damn match. I mean, you need it where it works, right? Like, so if you have a faction and it makes sense in the storyline, you have it there, right? The Roxanne Perez interference with Raquel and Io this week, I thought that match was phenomenal. I thought that was a great match. But she grabs her foot and you're like, okay, whatever. It's not a lot, right? It's just a little bit. But that match was so great. Like, you didn't even need some of that stuff, right? So I think at times they like rely on it too heavily, and they use the actual matches to carry story points to get from point A to point B, to where the match doesn't really even matter. They basically say, hey, you don't care about this match. Point A, point B, before, after the match. That's the part you should care about. I feel like we're missing out on a lot of the actual in-ring match stuff, and you could have different superstars actually out there. It feels like if you're not in a faction or you don't have a partner right now, like, you're not out there. And it's just too often. It's too much. We got to tone it back a little bit and actually just get down to like one-on-one or tag team wrestling. Just have people go out there and a chance to make new stars. Give them a chance.
I mean, the real answer is a simple answer, is that WWE just has to book people to lose matches sometimes. Like, you just have to lose matches even when you are on a team at some point. Like, that's just how it's going to have to be. And I'm with you. I think the only team that should be able to get away with this on a bi-weekly basis at the most is the Vision, because we are booking them to be the big bad, basically new bloodline of 2024, 2025, 2026, and so on. So if they're going to do distractions and stuff, leave it to them, because if everybody does it, if Judgment Day does it and MFT does it and the Vision does it and all these other people do it, then like, what makes the Vision that special? Just because Seth Rollins has the title? Like, that's the only reason that separates them. And I guess it's like, he's the world champion, so that is a separator. I see that. But when every single match is doing the same thing, it doesn't make the Vision feel any more special than the Judgment Day. It doesn't make anybody separate at all. So I just, the simple answer here is that you just got to book people to lose matches, and the consequences have to unfold later on afterward, because that's just how wrestling has to work sometimes.
Yeah, we've just fallen into this thing where it happens, I don't know, 60-70% of matches at this point, and you're just like, why am I even watching? Also, another thing on the Vision, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's not start out with like a 20 to 25 minute promo with the Vision, and then a 20 to 25 minute main event segment with the Vision. give us something else. Let's start with a match of somebody, anybody.
Yeah.
Ring the bell. Hey, welcome to Monday Night Raw. These two people are in the ring. They're going to go after it. I don't know, something like that. But these like Vision promos in the beginning where they set up the main event in the opening part, you're like, okay, that's a reason to watch. But when it's the same thing involving the same people week after week after week, like, oh, we're going to get some shenanigans here.
Yeah, I mean, it's predictable. It is predictable. SmackDown and Raw right now feel like they're on a rerun. Raw is at least filled with enough power and potential that it feels fun on a weekly basis. You have your Punks and your Reigns and your, like, whenever Roman's around, times are good, so it feels good right now. But yeah, I mean, it can really get stale. So these were our how to fix WWE. Well, it wasn't even us. These are our opinions on your guys' takes that you wanted to see fixed. Thank you all for commenting. We hope to do more of this type of stuff in the future, so make sure to comment on all of our stuff. And that includes on our Twitter and stuff, so be there as well. But in the comments, let us know all your answers to how you would fix all this good stuff. But hell yeah. Make sure to check us out on our live streams, Raw, SmackDown, and PLEs, youtube.com/COD WrestlePod. For everything else, at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Like I said, we have a link tree in our bio to lead you to the Discord and to our TikToks and everywhere else. Please give us follows, subscriptions, all that good stuff. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.